Hello, I'm John Lands. I serve as the Executive Vice President at Pensacola Christian College, and it's my honor to be able to present to you some wonderful information about developing your digital marketing strategy for your Christian school. There's no doubt that you recognize big corporations, big business sees the value of advertising and marketing. They spend so much not only in just what they distribute, but in brand recognition, in their brand campaigns. As we start out, I just want to do a brief exercise to show you the impact of those brand campaigns. I'm going to show you first of all this brand and slogan. As soon as you see it, as soon as you see the swoosh and the words "just do it," you know immediately this is a commercial for Nike. Here's one that may be a little bit less likely for you to understand or see based on the slogan, but the logo you'll recognize. The slogan, "Think different," you may get it, but when you see that apple, you know immediately it's for Apple computers. Here's one, there's no mistake. It's finger-licking good. You know exactly which one that is. That's now KFC, previously known as Kentucky Fried Chicken. Here's one that everyone knows around the world. A golden arch with the phrase, "I'm loving it." You know immediately you're thinking of McDonald's. Big business and corporations spend so much just on brand recognition. It shows you the value of advertising. As soon as I say "I'm loving it," you immediately know to think of a Big Mac or a Quarter Pounder. As soon as I say "finger-licking good," immediately you think of chicken. You think of all of the food that's available at KFC. That is the power of advertising. That is the power of marketing. So with that, I ask this question. Why is it that we as Christian ministries are sometimes fearful, perhaps even hesitant, to advertise? You know, one of the questions we get here often is, how is it that Pensacola Christian Academy can be so large? How is it that you can have roughly 2,200 students each year in your academy? Well, it's simply this. We believe that God sends us the students that He wants us to have, but we also recognize it's our responsibility to let the students know that we're available. And we do that through advertising. We do that through marketing to get the attention of families who are seeking to allow their children to have a quality Christian education. And particularly, we use digital marketing as well. So let me explain to you a little bit about how digital marketing has come about. Really, we're living in a revolution of sorts. I call it the digital marketing revolution. For just a moment, think about how human behavior has changed in really over the last 100 years. 75 years ago, everyone was commuting to work. And when you look at this picture, you can tell all of them are reading their newspapers. They're all looking down. They're all looking at their newspapers. Even the guy walking in the center of the aisle looking for a seat is holding a newspaper. They're going about their daily routine. They're doing their normal activity as they commute into work, as they sit and they read their newspaper. Now let's take a look at a photo from recent years, within the last 5 years. And notice how these folks are commuting to work. They're all seated on the train. They all have their heads down. But notice they're reading the news on a different platform. Previously, it was a paper. It was the newspaper 75 years ago. Now they're all looking at their phones. They're all looking at their tablets, and they may not be reading the news. They may be playing a game. They may be catching up on social media. My point being that within these last few years, the behavior of our culture has changed significantly, even though we're in the same routines. We still commute to work. We still have platforms to distribute information, but those platforms have changed. And it's important for us to understand that in this age of mobile and digital revolution, that those are the tools that we can use to reach families, to let them know about our Christian schools. Over 100 years ago, There were really only three forms of advertising. You can see them on the screen. It was basically print and billboard and radio. Now, there are 10 forms of advertising with literally thousands of platforms underneath each of those. Within the last 20 years, we have seen a technology as well as a media revolution on the digital front. And technology and media parallel in that explosion at the same time. A significant driver has been that of internet use, particularly for social media. For instance, according to the Global State of Digital 2022 report that's presented by a group of platforms as they evaluate what they're doing, they determined, as you notice, 7 hours a day are spent on the internet on all devices combined. Across the globe, on average, 7 hours a day are combined into the use of the internet. That's second only to watching television or via over the air or through streaming platforms. That tells me that we have a massive opportunity, a tremendous opportunity to reach people right where they are using mobile as well as digital social media. Here's an interesting statistic for you. 67% of the world's population, almost 8 billion people on the face of the earth, of that 8 billion, 67%, or more precisely 5.31 billion people have a mobile phone. 67% of all people on the face of the earth have a mobile phone. And of that, 58% are on social media. That is equal to 4.62 billion people on the face of this earth that are on social media. That is the marketplace of our day. That's where we share through advertising and marketing about what our school can offer to the families that are seeking and in need. The greatest use for smartphones, this is surprising to me. The greatest use for smartphones is not just for calls. 43% of the time our smartphones are used for social media. 43% of the time. Aside from making calls, 43%, the greatest percentage use of our time on our smartphones is used for social media. Now, in the past 2 decades, social media has changed how we interact, how we communicate. For instance, social media really started in the late 1990s, early 2000s with a group called 6 Degrees. And then from 6 Degrees, we moved to MySpace, and then came along Facebook, then came Twitter, and then Snapchat and TikTok. And really in these past 20 years, we have seen a significant increase in social media platforms. Now, as we look back over that timeline, there have been some platforms that have dropped, 3 in fact, that have fallen off the timeline for lack of use. Let me just stop and say this. If your school still has a MySpace page, you definitely need to reevaluate your digital marketing strategy. Other platforms have weakened but are still available and somewhat viable, but others have grown stronger and have become powerhouses for social media. And in fact, each of those particular powerhouse social media platforms target particular demographics. For instance, if you're wanting to reach baby boomers, perhaps Gen X, Facebook would be the platform of choice. If you're looking to reach millennials, Instagram tends to be the better platform. If you're looking to reach Gen Z, perhaps you need to be on TikTok or Snapchat. These are the areas where you can reach particular demographics with targeted messaging. Here's the most interesting thing for me. 6 of the 7 social media platforms in our world today, 6 of those social media platforms claim more than 1 billion active users per month. 1 billion around the world are actively using one of these platforms at any given moment. So there's been a social media revolution, but then there's also been what I call the streaming revolution. Television, broadcast has changed tremendously. All the old standard video platforms are really being turned upside down as people are cutting the cord. Honestly, cable television is going out and now is transitioning to becoming internet service providers so that they can support streaming platforms. Streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime, those are taking over. And then the reason they're being so successful is because people don't want to wait for their favorite show to come on at a specific set time. They like the ability to watch it on demand. They like the ability of building their schedule how they choose, not what the networks would choose. And they're even willing to pay for it. Sling television as well as YouTube TV are some of the fastest growing streaming paid platforms. And now we're actually even seeing a number of unpaid or free streaming services that are truly commercial based, similar to the old broadcast television platform. I say all that to say this, that there are over 5,000 different advertising platforms that you can choose from, that you can select to target a specific audience, a suitable ad platform for you to use in developing your marketing strategy. Now with that, when I say 5,000, wow, 5,000, that's so many. Sometimes when you're thinking about that, when you're considering what to do, it's like a kid with a toy box. There's so many toys in the box, you don't know which one to choose. I think we need to look at it more at a financial level, though. It was John Wanamaker who was, all the way back in the 1800s, really an innovator when it came to business and marketing. He was the first to develop a successful department store in the United States. He was a merchant. He was a religious leader. He was also a political figure. The first department store that he built was really the predecessor for Macy's. And the one store that he built became 16 stores around the country. It was John Wanamaker who made this statement, though. He said, "Half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half." And that statement is still true today. We really don't understand. We sometimes don't know just how well our dollars are being used when it comes to advertising and marketing. So for the next few minutes, I want to share with you some ideas of how you can make sure you're not wasting your money as you develop your school's digital marketing plan. Now, allow me to say from the beginning, I hope that this talk is the foray into marketing for you. This is going to be something that you need to be continually looking into. And there are plenty of free blogs, of information that is available that keeps you up to date with the ever-changing world of social media and digital media as well. Let me give you a few. If you're looking for more information, I suggest you look at HubSpot. It's a great platform to be able to help you understand how to use these tools and resources. Facebook, if you use Facebook, they have an entire resource platform to help you be successful in your marketing strategy. The same would be true for YouTube. Google has what's called Google Academy. It will help you prepare as you grow into your marketing strategy. LinkedIn Learning is a tremendous resource as well. And there are plenty of others that are available. It's imperative that you be consistent in looking for up-to-date information because all of these platforms are changing. Their algorithms are changing. Their perspective in how they reach people is changing. So it requires that you be adroit in being able to use these tools with that latest information. So with that in mind, my talk today is going to be more philosophical rather than practical. I want you to understand the philosophy that we use in marketing the school, the Pensacola Christian Academy, and I hope that you'll pick up on that philosophy and apply it towards your school. I call this philosophy, this approach, the three-legged stool strategy. The three-legged stool strategy. No stool can stand if it's missing a leg. It has to have all three legs for it to stand. Or if one leg is shorter than the other, then it's out of balance and it's really useless. You can't use it to be seated at that point. The same is true with our marketing strategy. There are three legs that are involved, and if one is missing, it's ineffective. If one is shorter than the other two, it's out of balance. Let me give you what those three legs would be. Leg number one would be your target audience, who you're trying to reach, who is your demographic that you're reaching out to. The second leg would be your creative content. That's what you share with them. That's what you're giving them in distribution, the information that you're sharing with them. And then that third leg would be your defined budget. How much can you spend? And how effective can you be with what you're spending? And when you have all three of those legs in balance, then you're going to have ultimately a successful campaign. So let's talk about that for just a few moments as we consider each of these legs, if we could. First of all, let's consider the first leg of the stool, and that is a targeted audience. How do you find who you're reaching out to? Well, a targeted audience on social media is a group of people defined by specific behaviors and demographics. Now, you should know your school better than anyone else because you're already reaching specific families as they come in. You know what resonates with the families that are using your school. So I'm going to encourage you to develop what's called a builder's persona. A builder's persona is basically, a buyer's persona. I'm going to encourage you to develop a buyer's persona so that you can be able to know who you're trying to reach. I'm assuming that you have a clear understanding of who is in your school, and you're not trying to deliberately change your client base. So if you already know who's in your school and you're not trying to change your client base, the best example of who you're wanting to reach with your marketing are the families and the students that are already utilizing your service. So I encourage you to build a demographic target by surveying your current school families. You may already have a good idea about them. You probably know a lot about them because you interact with them on a regular basis. But the survey can give you just a little bit more fine-tuned information that could help you to be able to reach other families of like mind, of the same desire. It's the best way to gain valuable information. And this survey, it can be done through a paper survey, but I suggest you do it through a digital survey, through email. And you can use a platform like SurveyMonkey to be able to ask these questions, to be able to learn more about your families so that you can replicate that in your buyer's persona. Here's some things I think you would want to ask. Some of you may already know, some of you may not know. And here's the one thing that I do want to say. When you ask these questions, if you're able to make it anonymous, you'll get far better, far more honest answers. Email surveys are the best way to do that, particularly using SurveyMonkey, so that you can get the true feel of what they have to share. And here's what I would ask them. Number one, obviously I would ask their age, their ethnicity, their gender, their religious affiliation. This is where it becomes a little important to remain anonymous. Their income level, their education level, marital status, you most likely know their family status, their employee status, and then a little bit more about their preferences and their hobbies, their behaviors. Learn more about their hobbies, their interests, and then find out about their media consumption habits. Ask, what do you do? Do you use streaming? Are you still using cable television? How often are you on social media? What platforms are you using? Get all of that information and then determine, as you build that persona, which platforms on social media your target audience is consistently using. And using that demographic information as you build that buyer persona, it will help you to know which families to target. Now, even with that buyer persona and even with that target, you can narrow it even further. You may want to target those that are the decision makers or those that are influenced. The influencer or the influenced, the decision maker, and it really depends on which grade levels you're trying to bolster in enrollment. If it's elementary, obviously you want to target the parents. But if you're also wanting to bolster your high school, you want to do both, the parents as well as the student, because there's a buy-in when it comes to that high school student enrolling into this new school. Perhaps you're wanting to target your K-5 program or your kindergarten program. You're going to want to target a demographic that's perhaps age 25, female, age 25 to 35, to get those parents with younger children. Maybe you're in an area where families are more military families and they're consistently rotating in and out. You're going to want to make sure that you're in those platforms that are not only social media but also established for military presence, people who are moving in, to give them the information as they succeed, as they rotate into a new location. Every school is different, every application is different, but it requires that you understand who your target audience is, and you can narrow it effectively to reach the right people. So really narrowing down your audience is the crucial aspect to effective social media marketing as well as all marketing. You need to understand where you need to spend your money and the resources that are needed to connect with the specific people that will most likely enroll in your school. That means you'll end up getting the most out of your marketing budget. But if you don't identify your audience, if you don't identify who you're wanting to reach, you're simply wasting your money. And may I go a step further? You may not even create the best content because it's too general. It's too broad to spark the interest of those who see your advertisement. And you won't, on social media, get much traction or engagement in those particular advertisements. So once you get the idea of your target audience and the different subset demographics underneath that, you can start to look for them online. And there's some tools that you can use on various platforms. Facebook has what's called Facebook IQ. That's their audience insights tool. It offers endless opportunities for you to be able to narrow your focus and pinpoint your target audience. Another paid subscription you could have is Brand Watch Audiences. It allows you to see the most up-to-date profiles for businesses that are being used on various platforms. It allows you to target the right audience to make sure that you are effectively using marketing to grow your school. So remember, we're in the three-legged stool strategy, and the first leg is that of a targeted audience. We want to develop a buyer's persona from the students and families we currently have, because we want to maintain that. We want to replicate that, in fact, and have more students and families like them come and be a part of our school. So that target audience is important, but now let's talk about that creative content. And it takes a lot of time, it takes energy, it takes money to add creativity to advertising. But it's well worth the effort in the long run. It is well worth the investment. Now, before I go any further, let me stop and say this. Please understand that the backbone of all of your digital advertising is going to be your website. Generally, you're always pointing families to your website so they can learn more about your school. So if you're doing a Facebook ad, an Instagram ad, you're going to want to point them to that website. If they're doing a Google search, you're going to want to make certain that your website is available in that Google search using good SEO tactics or even paid search opportunities. Regardless of the lead and where it comes from, you want your website to be attractive. You want it to be user-friendly, and this is so important. As I've shown you the statistics of how many people use internet via mobile phone and mobile smartphone, it is important that your website be mobile-friendly. If it looks beautiful on a computer, but it takes 10 minutes to download into your phone, then you're not being effective with that. So it requires a little bit of SEO strategy, mobile utilization, to make certain that you're effectively reaching who you want to where they are. So now that you know where you're headed, that anything that you do with your creative content, you're pointing them to your website, let's talk about how you can use social media marketing effectively to get them to the website. Facebook, let's talk about that platform for a moment. Facebook, for instance, it will help you, help an ad perform even better if there is increased engagement. By engagement, I mean likes and shares, comments that are made on that particular post. And the more likes and shares and the more comments that are made on a post, the more often that post will be shared. So it requires, and this is what is so key, it requires that high quality content will be there so it can reach more customers at a lower cost per interaction. So you spend more for quality content so that you ultimately reach more in distribution a little bit later. Now, there's different ways you can go about advertising creatively in social media. Most are familiar with advertising through static image ads, just a single image that is there. But a growing segment of advertisers are now using video, and it's becoming very effective. Video content perhaps is being more effective because people are geared towards that now, and video is readily available at all times. And in fact, it has a greater impact because it's often more engaging. But let's be honest, it can also be challenging. It can also be a little bit more expensive to produce. But it is well worth the investment, as we've already learned, because high-quality content can potentially reach more customers at a lower cost per interaction. The end result will be far more cost-effective if you invest the money for quality in your content up front. So as you begin your creative process, I encourage you to think through a number of things, but primarily think through this. Think through what sets your school apart from other schools. And as you do that, you'll begin to determine what your differential advantage is. That differential advantage is what you want to advertise, and that's what you're building your creative content around. So let's just consider for a moment some things about your Christian school. And I'm going to place them on the screen for you. Perhaps you could say your Christian school offers academic excellence, qualified, caring Christian teachers, Christian textbooks and curriculum, character training, competitive athletic programs, as well as state-of-the-art facilities. Now, if you're going to have creative content, it requires that you not just read the list of what you have to offer. It's important that your families know what you have to offer. But being creative in your content is not just sharing the what, it's sharing why. It's important for you to communicate why parents should send their students to your school. And that's really the distinction between advertising and marketing. Advertising is the promotion to consumers of what your school offers. Marketing is the persuasion of consumers with why they should choose your school. If you're only focusing on the what, you're basically advertising. But if you say, this is why you should invest in your child's education and send them to this Christian school, you're effectively marketing and persuading them to come. Let me give you some examples from the business world, particularly restaurant chains, that differentiate between the promotion aspect and the marketing aspect, between the what and the why. Here's a great example. It's an ad. It's the $1 morning value menu at Taco Bell. This is a perfect example of a what promotion. This is saying, this is what we have to offer you in the morning. Everything is under $1, and you could go and buy your breakfast burrito for $1 or less at Taco Bell. Now, Taco Bell is also in a competitive world, and there are other restaurants of similar stature or similar menu that are available. Here's one with a billboard, and notice what it says on this billboard. It's a perfect example of the why persuasion. In the billboard it says, we wanted to write about our locally sourced natural ingredients, but short billboard headlines are better. And I love the way they do this. This was brilliant in their thinking, the way that they grayed out certain words and then they made bolder specific words. And the bold says this, our ingredients are better. That's the why. Taco Bell is what? I can give it to you for $1 or less. This restaurant says, this is why our ingredients are better. One ad focuses on price, the other focuses on value, and there's a distinct difference. Price is what, value is why the consumer should come to that restaurant. Here's another example. These are auto insurance advertisers. You're familiar with the Geico. And that famous line, 15 minutes or less can save you 15% or more on car insurance. It's a clear what promotion. Here's what we can do for you. Give us 15 minutes, we'll save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Now, the only problem with that is that differential advantage quickly goes away if someone else comes along and can get it done in 14 minutes and give them 16% or more. It's all about that what, that statistic. Here's another example from USAA. This is a why persuasion. The competitor in this auto insurance commercial or a print ad says this: only one kind of auto insurance is earned once but may be handed down from generation to generation. It's now talking about the why. It's not just about saving money. You can do that if you go to Geico, but there is, if you go with USAA insurance, you're going to find that there is a heritage, there is a legacy attached to this. Your grandfather served in the military, and because of that, he was allowed to have this insurance, and you have that passed down from generation to generation. It's a why marketing technique. So when you talk about your school, talking about what your school has to offer must be transformed into why the student should attend your school. And that's key to your messaging. The why content is fire. The digital media platforms are gasoline to that brings explosive growth. So let's work on transforming the what to the why. Let me go back to our original screen. Here are the things that we talked about concerning the Christian school, and we'll use it in the context of Pensacola Christian Academy. Here's the what: academic excellence, qualified caring teachers, Christian textbooks and curriculums, character training, competitive athletic programs, state-of-the-art facilities. All of these things are offered. Those are the whats. But let me show you how we share the why. If you don't mind, I'm going to show a video ad for you from Pensacola Christian Academy that really takes the what and tells the story of why the student needs to enroll.
Pulmonary artery and the pulmonary vein, and that's what gives us our...
Bring that up so we can hear you. Let's try that one more time.
It's not just who she is today that matters.
An A+? Good job.
It's who she'll be tomorrow. Pensacola Christian Academy. Excellence in education.
That commercial is a perfect example of taking the what and telling a story as to why a student should enroll. Let's just think about it. When you see that, as it tells the story, no announcer until the very end, you see images of a state-of-the-art classroom. It's not just a description. You get to see the real deal. You get to see the inside of that beautiful classroom. And then you get to hear the qualified teacher instructing in that class. You get to see how the classroom is structured, how the teacher is interacting with the students. You see the student using a quality curriculum. You get to see that student playing basketball. You see the student playing the violin. And then at the end, that student riding home on the bus, stressing the fact there's a bus transportation service available. That student on the bus looking at the grade card with an A+. All of the whats were messaged. Never said a word about academic excellence, but the image, the intuitive messaging was there. Qualified Christian caring teachers, you saw that in the classroom. The textbooks, the training, the athletic programs, the state-of-the-art facilities, all of that was there. And it wasn't until the end where the announcer comes on and says this, and really says why parents send their students to PCA. The announcer said, it's not just who she is today that matters. It's who she'll be tomorrow. That's the why. That's the why. That's why parents enroll their students into Pensacola Christian Academy, because they know they'll have academic excellence and quality curriculum and caring teachers. All of those things are there, but it requires persuasion as to why they should enroll their students in that particular school. So this why approach to messaging makes the school more relatable, makes it more relevant. It speaks to something every good parent is worried about. Every good parent is worried about, what path will my child take? And the tagline of this particular ad makes it clear that it's found in the proper training at an early age, and Christian education is part of that helps develop who she'll be tomorrow. Now, the great thing about this video is that it's a piece of video content that's used across multiple platforms. And this video also tends to have a longer shelf life. It can be used a little bit more often, a little bit later, rather than just plain images that can be used. In fact, you can take that video and you can break it up into different lengths of clips and use it in various capacities. We did that with another set of what we call testimonial videos. They were broken up into shorter videos from perspectives of different groups, and they were combined into a longer form video with all of those various individuals. Here's how we took the video that I had just shown you. This is how we posted it on Facebook, and along with a caption, we were able to show the journey that a child has as they go through school. But it's not only just a day-to-day journey, it's a lifelong journey, and that's the messaging that we're sharing there. Allow me to take a moment and share a little bit with you a few more examples of advertisements that we've done. We've done some testimonial advertisements as well, testimonies from parents, from teachers, and even from students. And they help show the answer as to why families should enroll their students in our school. Here's one that's from the parent testimonial. And let me remind you, these are used on social media as well. So this is a platform you can use. Let's watch this parent testimonial.
As a mom, my children are one of my highest priorities. While I'm not with them, knowing that they're in those good hands, those loving hands, it just means a lot.
They come home and they're always telling us how much fun they had and what they did, and it's amazing at the knowledge that they're teaching in school. Our neighbors and other people are always stopping us saying, your kids are so smart. They are getting such a good education at Pensacola Christian Academy.
This is definitely the best place for our kid to be at school, because they will have that opportunity to perform and to have what we call an excellent education.
I invest a lot of love and a lot of care. When I drop my children off in the morning, I can feel confident.
Knowing that they're safe here is beyond measure. We don't have to worry. I have a strong feeling that the teachers want to be a team. My children are learning how to be good thinkers and how to be responsible and independent thinkers. That's matchless. And
extracurricular opportunities, the Sonata contest is coming up.
we feel like there's just no comparison.
Again, this video was used on social media, so it's approximately 1.5 minutes long. Let me say this, that we generally don't allow or prefer to have our social media advertisements go longer than that. A little shorter is actually better. It keeps it more engaging and concise. But with this video, we've done exactly what we wanted to do. We took the what and we added the value of why. And we made it clear without an announcer saying a word. It was from the mouth of the parent that Pensacola Christian Academy offers quality academic excellence, qualified Christian teachers, Christian textbooks and curriculums, character training, state-of-the-art facilities, competitive athletic programs. All of those were there through the mouth of that parent as they testified to the benefit of why they placed their student in that school. Now let me show you another testimonial video if I could. It's a video from teachers. This is a wonderful video because it helps underline the academics that we have to offer, as well as the heart of the teacher, the caring, qualified Christian teacher. Let's watch this video.
I just love the children that we get to work with. Just knowing that we've made a difference in their life. Yes, we had them for a year, but they remember us for years to come. They come up to us, they say, hey, being able to see that, being able to have that relationship with them is the best part.
I don't think I could ever do anything else. I love having the ability to mentor, not only to teach students, but to mentor them, to help them to grow, to see a change in them. I love, love, love the outreach that we have here at Pensacola Christian.
It's not a job to me. It is so much fun to come in with these kids every day and get to teach them what I do. So it's a privilege.
Yep. I enjoy teaching junior high. They are still so excited about coming to school, and all the new things that come with junior high, they like to share with their teachers, and so I feed off that.
I've always had a heart for education, but making it applicable to life. What matters if they know the facts, but they don't know how to apply that to life. So students should go into a classroom, and I trust they do, and they are excited for what they're about to learn, and we're gonna have fun.
We have rigorous academics, but it's academics every child can do, and it pushes them to be the best that they can be. No matter what teacher that you get at the academy, we put everything we have into it. We work as a team with the parents.
I would say if you're looking for excellence, whether it's in kindergarten, 5th grade, 8th grade, you're going to get the best education.
Once again, this video was used on social media, so it's approximately a minute and a half long. So again, I remind you, we try not to go longer than that. But notice again, through this particular ad, we did the exact same thing. We were able to take the differential advantages that we have, qualified, caring Christian school teachers, and you heard it in the teacher's own voice in that particular ad. Academic excellence, you were able to see the classroom, textbooks that are from a Christian perspective, curriculum that is used throughout with a Christian perspective and a biblical worldview, character training. All of those things are present in this ad, and it conveys not only the what, but the why. It gives the what without a hard sell. It connects the why to the potential family, why they should enroll their child. Let me give you one final video. We call this the combo video. It's a combo testimonial video. It's 60 seconds long. This video was used on television locally. That's why we had a hard 60-second cutoff on it. Let's take a look at it for just a moment.
I invest a lot of love and a lot of care. My children have always felt that their teachers are personally concerned about them. They feel like they have a personal relationship with their teacher.
It's not a job to me. It is so much fun to come in with these kids every day.
I have a strong feeling that the teachers want to be a team. We feel like there's just no comparison.
No matter what teacher that you get at the academy, we put everything we have into it.
They're very approachable. They really focus on your well-being.
This is definitely the best place for a kid to be at school, to have what we call an excellent education.
If you want a strong foundation in academics for your child, regardless of the age, this is the place to be.
Again, this video hits on all of the whats, but it effectively answers the why. Why should the family enroll their student at PCA? Now, here's the interesting part of our strategy. This was a television ad, so if a parent saw that as they were getting ready to go to work on a local television station for the morning news, as they're getting ready to go to work, they see this PCA ad. We then back that up with these other social media ads that we have, and they go hand in hand. It reinforces to the viewer, to that potential family, the value of Pensacola Christian Academy, and it reinforces why they really should enroll their student there. It's a versatile, effective strategy that is tailored to the content, particularly to the broad audience of television. You really are not targeting, other than maybe day part and times with television, but it's still a broad audience that you're reaching. But then when you marry that with social media, you can target it even more specifically. And you can use that persuasive why more effectively when you say to that family, this is why your student should enroll in the school. So let me say this, the what versus why approach, it works with not only social media, honestly, it works with radio, television, print, direct mail, billboard advertising. It just requires that we be savvy, it requires that we be clear in our messaging as to why a student should be enrolled in our school. Now you may be saying, John, thank you for all that, but listen, we struggle here with this at our Christian school, and we struggle financially, we're limited. We also struggle with a level of creativity. Well, I want you to know, Abeka wants you to succeed, and they have some tools to help Christian schools grow. And you can take advantage of these free resources. You can use these resources to help you market your school. And these resources will be promoting the value, the why, to the potential parents of students for your school. Here's a sample of an organic Facebook post that you can use. And you can insert the name of your school into the caption and use the graphic image that is there. Here's an example of a paid Facebook ad that you can use. You can personalize it to your school. You can place it on your Facebook page and use it as an ad to reach out into your community. Abeka is wanting to help you with resources. It'll help you with email, newsletter ads, print ads, social media, and videos. All you have to do is just request this free marketing materials. These materials are available for you. And all you have to do is go to abeka.com/schooltools. abeka.com/schooltools. And please know Abeka is here to help you succeed. They want to set you up for success with these free resources. In fact, they'll even help you personalize them if you need to. It'll help you get started with the creative aspect of this process. We're talking about this three-legged stool strategy for successful marketing, and we've talked about the first leg, that of targeted audience, and then the second leg of creative content. But now this third leg is that of defined budget. There's a budget component to this. It really does us no good to have the best audience targeted perfectly and have the finest creative content if no one ever sees it. It does us no good to do that. So if you're going to use your budget, you're going to want to make certain that you're using these two components, reach and frequency. So with that, as we define our budget, it really depends on the platform your target prefers. And your budget will vary to have effective reach and frequency. So if you're using Facebook, you'll have a different reach and frequency. If you're using Instagram or if you're using other non-social media platforms, it's completely different. Just be aware of that and make informed decisions in that regard. If you use internet search engine advertising, depending on the area in which you live, you may want to use specific keywords to make certain that your parents are finding your school when it comes to their search on Google. And paid advertisements on Google and other search engines are usually fairly cost-effective. They can range from anywhere from 5 cents per hit to up to $2 per hit. So you want to be careful with that, but make sure you optimize it as best you can. We always add paid advertisement using SEO keywords, for instance, Pensacola Private Schools, so that it comes up in the context of that search. And we set a monthly budget for that traffic to use paid internet search. The other aspect of that would be that of cost per click. Cost per click in various platforms, and by far Facebook is the most cost-effective when it comes to cost per click. Facebook ads across all industries is on average about $1.86 per click. Google ads across all industries is approximately $2.69. The most expensive is LinkedIn ads across all industries at $5.74 per click. So let's use Facebook as our example. As a hypothetical for your school, let's say you set a budget of $500. You know your target audience, you have your created content, you're going to spend a defined budget of $500. So Facebook ads, they average the cost per click of roughly $1.86. This number will vary based on several factors, so you take that, and if you know you have a $500 budget and you have $1.86 on average per click, you're going to have 269 clicks, 269 people that go to your website or take the action that you call them to. Now, this is interesting. We know this based on averaging from various platforms, but particularly for Facebook in this instance, the conversion rate is 13.58 for education sector. So for every click, 13.8% respond by either enrolling or taking action as you've called them to act. So if we're doing a promotion for enrollment, you have a $500 budget, the average is $1.86 cost per click, you have 269 clicks, the result would be, on average, 36 new students would be brought into your school as a result of that. Now, that's not always 100%. Sometimes you can do it for far less. Your cost per click could be as low as 50 cents. Sometimes it may be as high as $10. It's based on the variable of how creative your content is and how targeted your audience is. Now, let's go back to the video ad I showed you earlier that we used on Facebook. The journey of a day in a student's life, how we use that on Facebook. We had a $650 Facebook budget that we used for that ad, and we actually ended up only spending $608 of the $650. This is amazing. We reached 44,800 people. We had 966 clicks on that particular link, and as a result, our cost per click was 63 cents per click. So with 966 clicks, with a 13.5% conversion rate, we on average retained 131 students as a result of that. It's so important that you have not only budget, but you have the right content being shared with the right audience so that you can be effective and be broad in your results. That is the most important. So let me recap. We've talked about the three components of the effective digital marketing strategy. You have to have that targeted audience. I encourage you to build that buyer's persona. Look at the current families and students that you have and try to replicate that. Build the persona around that so you can have more students just like you have. And make certain that content is first class and persuasive. Don't just share what you can offer, but persuade your viewers, those targets, persuade them why they should enroll their students in your school. And make certain you have a well-defined budget. Your budget may not be $500, but $200 can be used effectively if you're able to use what you have with the right audience and great content. All of those things are so important, and what will happen will be this, is that your name value, your brand will be recognized when you're targeting that audience with the right content through the right budget. So let's make sure we have a balance. Let's make sure we balance all three legs of our marketing strategy. Again, targeted audience, creative content, and let's make certain we have a defined budget. Thank you so much for being a part of this session for Summer Seminar. I hope it's been a help and a blessing to you.